So, you've probably heard of the Fair Credit Billing Act, right? Well, if not, let me fill you in on this important piece of legislation. The Fair Credit Billing Act, or FCBA for short, is a federal law that was enacted to protect consumers when it comes to their credit card billing practices. It gives consumers certain rights and provisions that can help them dispute and resolve billing errors and unauthorized charges on their credit card statements. Now, you might be wondering why such a law is necessary in the first place. Well, the truth is that mistakes can happen, even when it comes to our credit card bills. Whether it's a charge that we didn't make, an error in the amount billed, or a transaction that was never delivered, it's not uncommon for discrepancies to arise. And that's where the Fair Credit Billing Act comes into play. Under this law, consumers have the right to dispute any billing error or unauthorized charge that appears on their credit card statement. To do so, they must follow a specific process outlined by the FCBA. First and foremost, they need to notify the creditor in writing, within 60 days of receiving the billing statement that contains the error. This written notice should include relevant details, such as the account number, the specific charge in question, and a clear explanation of why it is being disputed. Once the creditor receives the written notice, they are then obligated to acknowledge the dispute and conduct a thorough investigation. During this investigation, the creditor must refrain from taking any adverse actions against the consumer, such as reporting the disputed charge as delinquent or initiating debt collection efforts. This provides a certain level of protection for consumers, ensuring that they are not penalized while the dispute is being resolved. Now, you might be thinking, what if the investigation reveals that the consumer's dispute is valid? Well, in such cases, the creditor is required to rectify the billing error or unauthorized charge. They must not only remove the charge from the consumer's account but also refund any related finance charges and late fees that were imposed as a result of the error. This ensures that consumers are not held financially responsible for mistakes that were made by the creditor. On the other hand, if the investigation determines that the consumer's dispute is invalid, the creditor must provide a written explanation as to why they believe the charge is accurate. They may also request further supporting documentation from the consumer. However, it's important to note that even if the creditor deems the charge valid, the consumer still has the right to escalate the matter further and seek additional recourse. Another key provision of the Fair Credit Billing Act is what's known as a billing error resolution period. Under this provision, consumers have the right to withhold payment on any disputed amount while the investigation is ongoing. This means that they are not required to pay the disputed charge or any related finance charges until the matter is resolved. However, it's important to remember that this provision only applies to the specific amount in dispute and not the entire credit card balance. Now, you might be wondering how the Fair Credit Billing Act can help protect you against fraudulent charges. Well, the FCBA includes provisions that safeguard consumers from liability for unauthorized transactions. If your credit card is lost or stolen, and unauthorized charges are made before you report it, you are only liable for up to $50 of those charges. And if you report the loss or theft before any unauthorized charges are made, then you are not liable for any of those charges. Furthermore, the FCBA also provides protection for consumers when it comes to unsatisfactory goods or services that they've purchased using their credit card. If you make a legitimate complaint about a transaction, and the merchant fails to resolve the issue, you have the right to withhold payment for the disputed amount. This can be particularly helpful when dealing with issues such as defective products, poor service, or non-delivery of goods. In conclusion, the Fair Credit Billing Act is an essential piece of legislation that helps protect consumers when it comes to their credit card billing practices. It provides consumers with rights and provisions that allow them to dispute and resolve billing errors and unauthorized charges on their credit card statements. So, if you ever find yourself faced with an inaccurate charge or fraudulent activity on your credit card, remember that the FCBA is there to help you navigate the process and ensure that you are not held financially responsible for mistakes that were made by others.